is listening? Who is listening? Who is listening? Oh, yeah, the mind. You understand this? Who is listening? The mind. You have your ears, but if the mind is away, can you listen? You could be sitting here and everybody is sitting here, but everybody has a different way of listening. Right? Everybody has a different way of listening. Why? Because it is the mind which is listening. So what is the mind? The mind is the one which is listening to me. Are you listening to me? Are you listening to me? Not everybody is saying yes. So are you listening to me? Yes. What is seeing? What is seeing? It is the mind which is seeing. Are you understanding this? It is the mind which is decided to see at a particular place and it is seeing. If the mind is away, you would be just looking at me. You would not be seeing me. The experience of the five senses is through the mind, and when you can retract the mind from the five senses, it's called meditation. Meditation simply means retracting the mind from the five senses and yet being in a state of complete joy. Is that a possibility? Is that a possibility? Very much. What does the mind do? It has this capability to go in the past or in the future. Agree? It has the capability to absolutely run in the past. When it goes to the past and it sits there for a long time, or it chews on the past, what happens? Let's take it goes in the past. So what usually we remember in the past? What do you usually remember from the past? Mostly it will remember the wrong things, the bad things. Somebody in the past has told you, I don't like you. Somebody just gave you these words, I don't like you. What did you do? You took that words and you chew on it continuously. He said, I don't like you. He has done this before also. She has done this before also. They always do this to me. I am the one who is always at ta 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 ta. And now what is it? It's an emotion, a solidified emotion of maybe, what would be the emotion? Anger. You become angry, and then what happens? It leads to hatred, and then what happens if you chew more? It leads to violence. Violence, anger, all this come from a state of the past. So if you're angry about the past. You are living in the past. How do I get my mind back? So do you understand the phenomenon of making a thought to an emotion? It's very delicate. Do you understand this? See, like for example, now think about, what am I going to eat for dinner? When will I leave the hall and go and have dinner? Just think about this. Chew on it continuously. When will I go? When will I go? When will I go? Already you will become anxious. Do you understand this? The movement, how do I stop a thought from becoming an emotion? How do I dealing from chewing a thought continuously? Have I ever thought about this phenomenon? Who made this emotion? Somebody just told you, I don't like you. Who made it into an emotion? Who made it? Me, myself? If you have made something, do you have the capability to break it? Yes. If you make something, like for example, if you know how to make, pasta arrabbiata. So then you know, okay, now I make this pasta, so then I can also add something new. Maybe I can add the little pesto sauce and see what happens. Though I know the basic recipe, so I should know how to build on that also. Agree? So how do I break this? But when it becomes an emotion, I usually give this example. That have you seen cement powder? The powder, cement powder, that is like a thought. Now you add water into it and mix it. And do you understand what happens of it? It becomes totally solidified cement. You can't break it. It's not so easy. Emotion is like that. When an emotion rises in you, it's very difficult to break it. Agree? How many people agree to this? But you realize you made it. You yourself made this emotion. Maybe that person actually did not mean it. But in your mind, now you actually understand this person hates me completely. Right? Happens. Sometimes you also blurt out something and you don't mean it, and the other person thinks, I'm never going to be friends with you. How do I stop this? How do I stop a thought becoming an emotion? One, and how do I stop my mind from going in the past, sitting in the past and the future? Because my mind, when it's holidaying in the past or the future, it is usually throwing anger, regret, guilt, or it is coming back to fear and anxiety in the future. You want to know the recipe of depression? While now that we are here, we are going to talk about happiness. We should also know what is depression, right? We should know the both sides of the coin. You know what is the recipe of depression? Just sit somewhere in this, like a chair like this. Let everybody leave. You keep sitting and just think about this. What about me? Just think about this question. What will happen to me? Who will take care of me? What will happen to me? What will happen in my old age? What will happen? What will happen? What about me? And just look, in few minutes you will be depressed. Behind every depressed person is a complete obsession about himself of what about me? How do I come back in the present? See, have you noticed, you go to work, you go to college, you go to, maybe you have your business. So many times you have been doing work for a long time. Then what do you say? You say, I need a break. Do you say this? I need a break. I need a break. You know why you need a break? You need a break from the past and the future. That's what you mean, actually. Because you have not been in the present, so you say, I need a break from the past. You say, I need a break. And where do you take a break? When you want to take a break, when you want to holiday, where do you go? And with whom do you go? First, you always go with people whom you love. Agree? You never go with your enemies and say, okay, come, let's take a break. And you go to the nature. You go back to the nature. Maybe you go to Florida, in the winters, of course. In Minneapolis, since I stayed here for 3 years, I know how the winters are. So maybe you want to take a break. You want to take a break with nature. You want to take a break with people you love. Why? Because love gets you in the present moment. Nature is in the present moment. It inflicts the present moment on you. The present moment is joy. The present moment is happiness. Somebody was saying that, my mind goes to the past for happy events. When does it go? When the present moment is not very tasty. Right? So, present moment simply signifies joy, happiness, creativity. The mind, whenever it is agitated, it is not creative. The mind, when it is relaxed, calm, composed, equanimous, it is superbly creative. It becomes, ideas just come into your mind. You must have seen all the past great experiments or great innovations have happened under an apple tree or sitting in a tub with water. Eureka! Remember all that? Because the mind was totally in the present moment. It was relaxed, it was calm, it was peaceful. And that's how it happened. Right? So the first thing I want to tell you, what do you do to get your mind in the present? Are you always going to depend on people you love? Are you always going to depend on nature? Because nature also, for some time, you like it for some time. Like if you're in Minneapolis, you like Florida. And if you're in Florida, they like Minneapolis. You understand this? You need something new all the time. How about finding something new inside than outside? How do I retract my mind from people and situations and yet be happy? I would like to know this. How do you get your mind in the present? Because every time you're happy, your mind is in the present. And how many times do you do this? The second thing I want to tell you, a small child, maybe like a child between 3 months to 1 year, 2 years old, smiles 400 times in a day. 400 times in a day. Just imagine. This small child becomes a youngster. Yeah, becomes a youngster. Now he is 20 years old. What does this small child have now? It has an iPad. It has all the apps in the iPad. Yeah, all bought apps in the iPad now. It has a good house. It has education. Shouldn't all this increase its smile? So how many times would a 20-year-old smile? 400? More than 400? 2000 times a youngster? 2 times. 2 times. Come on, take a guess. All the youngsters sitting here, 20-year-olds, take a guess. How many times do you smile? You know what is the general study for the whole world? It's 17. A 20-year-old with all these amenities to make him happy, with all that gadgets, with all the luxuries, with all the pocket money and all that, smiles only 17 times in a day. Now this one becomes 30 years old. He's married. Only other people smile when I say he's married. This one is gone. You notice this? You know, success simply means when you can smile and you have an ability to bounce back in every situation in life. Of course there will be situations. Of course there will be waves. Of course there will be. But how do you quickly bounce back and stand back? That is your strength. And the last thing, if you notice one more thing, you know what is health? Health is that, when you have done everything to get your wealth, maybe by 40 years, you should have a body and a mind to enjoy that what you have got. Are you understanding this? So you worked very hard for 20 years of your life. From 20 to 40, you really worked hard. But now you're 40, you should be able to enjoy whatever you have got. It should not be that you are having diabetes. All this life you made money so that at the age of 40, you wouldn't take a vacation somewhere when you're 40. You said, I'm going to travel around the world. And then you come to know you have high blood pressure. You can't travel so much in the flight. What is the point then? It is said that, one in every 4 school teachers in Germany is depressed. $40 billion here in America are spent on antidepressants. $40 billion are spent on antidepressants. And what do they usually do? They usually put you to sleep so that you sleep, you don't think more, sleep more, and then you wake up, you are less in energy, completely tired, you don't know, it does not work. If this is the way we are going to be learning how to handle the mind, I think something has gone wrong. We need to come back into meditation. We need to come back to raise our energy, raise our alertness, raise our enthusiasm, and come out of life from these trivial issues. What do you say? Good idea? Yes, no? When the time comes to reap the fruits of that hard work, you should have health to enjoy that wealth also. I would say that is a good health. And how do I do this? But how do I do this? How do I get this mind which stays in the present? How do I get this mind which can relax and bounce back quickly? How do I do it? Well, in a comedy channel, there is like group of people, together laughing. Have you noticed this? Happens here also, right? Happens here also. And then you remember, oh, this was supposed to be a joke. I was supposed to smile on that. How do I do this? This is called because the mind, if it is fresh, if it is happy, if it is away from all the anguish, it is very healthy. When the mind is healthy, the body automatically becomes healthy. It gets an immune system which is superbly strong, which is solid. That is why today if you ask the doctors say that 99.9% of the diseases are psychosomatic. 99% diseases are psychosomatic because they enter the mind first. You have anguish in the mind, you already feel stressed, and there you go. The body is diseased. Somebody gives you 10 compliments and 1 insult. What do you remember? Do you notice all these trivial issues, how the mind has been clasping onto, how it has been holding onto? The mind has been holding on to so much negative every day. One negative incident happens in your life in a day. Do you remember how many days do you remember it? How many years? Somebody just tells you, I don't like you. How many days do you remember it? Can you let go? If you have become so susceptible to people looking at you in this way, because people also change over time, but your mind does not. When you look at them in the same aspect of judgments. So it is imperative, it has become necessary to become happy today. You know why? Because all of us somewhere are connected. All of us somewhere are connected. We have just been passing on stress from one person to another, one person to another, one person to another. For example, if somebody in the office does not do good work, so the boss shouts at him. The boss shouts at his employee and says, what's this? You have not done good. This guy is totally stressed. He comes home. He has to make sure he has to throw his stress on somebody. Usually he will throw it on his children or he'll throw it on the wife. He throws his stress on the wife. The wife is totally stressed. Now the wife has to throw it on somebody. She will throw it on the children. The children are totally stressed, don't understand why the mom is shouting when I didn't do anything wrong, when I've been so good to her all these days. So they go back to play with with their own friends and they bash up somebody there. And similarly it is going on. Where does it stop? Who can be a stress stopper? Not a showstopper, Who can stop the stress? How do I stop this? How do I make these trivial things look trivial in life? How do I understand the magnanimity of my infinite existence? These are my questions for you. I have not come here to answer them. I have come here to ask you. How do I do this? And this is why, today being stress-free has become a social responsibility. Because if you are stressed, you are absolutely making your whole city stressed. Somewhere somebody has to know how to gulp it down and stay calm and relaxed still. So both the mind and the happiness and the body all go together. How do I train my mind to do this? So you tell me this. What is your answer? This is what we come to the happiness program. The happiness program of the art of living focuses only on this, because we get the mind, we learn how to train the mind, and then we get the reins of the mind in our hand. Once you get the reins of the mind in your hand, you can retract the mind from the five senses and get into a meditative state where you can completely de-stress and then completely involve yourself into the activities of the world. Isn't that good? I call it iPod. Inner peace, outer dynamism. Usually it is the opposite. There is so much activity going on in the mind and outside you are totally lazy. Usually it is like that. How do I reverse it? Inner peace and outer dynamism. Good? iPod. How do I become an iPod? I remember a joke on this. There was this lady who used to call her husband. And say that, she used to call the husband and say, where are you? So the husband would say, I'm at home. So she would say, okay, switch on the mixer grinder. I want to listen to the sound of the mixer grinder. So he would switch on the mixer grinder and there would be some sound. And then she would say, okay, great, you're at home. Fine. Next day again she calls him and says, where are you? He says, I'm at home. Says, switch on the mixer grinder. Again he switches on the mixer grinder. There is a sound, the mixer grinder. She says, okay, I'm happy you're at home. Third day she comes home early. And then she looks at the son and says, how's everything? She says, okay mom, everything is very fine. She says, where's dad? She says, mom, dad has gone out, And you know what? He took the mixer grinder with him. A doubt, when it enters your life, it completely destroys you. Completely destroys. Doesn't allow you to be natural. How do I handle my doubts? with people, on myself, on situations, on my office. How do I handle this? Everything comes on the mind. All what we are talking comes to the aspect of the mind. I would invite all of you with your friends, with your family members, to learn how to handle the mind. The happiness program just focuses on these four aspects of the mind. How do I come back in the present? How do I not make my thoughts into emotions? How do I smile more and more? How do I bounce back quickly in life? Right? Understanding this? Would you like to meditate?